at Play. Welcome to it. And we have got plenty when it comes to African talent taking center stage, because history is being made in Nairobi. For the first time ever, an NCAA-certified basketball showcase will take place on African soil. The WWS and Inside Exposure Africa Showcase will see some of the continent's top boys, top girls, and this is the basketball prospects getting a chance to be seen by the NCAA programs, with potential scholarship opportunities and global pathways on the line. Joining us now is the man behind the historic moment, Munya Maraire, founder and CEO of Worldwide Scholarship. Munya, welcome to Africa at Play.
Thank you so much for having me. And it's definitely an exciting moment for Africa. And an exciting moment for Worldwide Scholarships Organization.
Absolutely, Munya. I think when you hear the words, the first NCAA-certified showcase in African history, does that like even feel real? Take us back. How did this dream become a reality?
You know, look, in my heydays, I was an NCAA athlete in two sports in the United States at Pennsylvania State University, doing American football and athletics, and started Worldwide Scholarships about 24 years ago, linking talent with opportunities. And one of the main elements of our mission and vision for the next 5 years has been to ensure that the African story is not told by mistake, and I believe that the reason why the African story is told by mistake is there are no developed pathways for the youngsters. Most of the youngsters that make it, it's always a story like, this guy got seen by someone and they went and lived with the family, and then suddenly God got involved and then they made it, as opposed to an American story or a European story where youngsters' pathways are set up through developmental systems and pathways that are very clear-cut for talent. Mm-hmm. And with Africa being the youngest generation on earth, with youth, it's only realistic that the next generation of superstars are coming from the continent. So we've aligned ourselves with the NCAA, have become the first NCAA scouting service that's recognized and approved by the NCAA. And it's not because it's necessarily the only way to do the work, but it is the right way to do the work, and it is the approved way, and it is a systematic way of doing things. So this is where our relationship with Insider Exposure, which is one of America's top basketball event in line with NCAA approved systems and pathways, and we partnered with them and said, look, we want to bring this to Africa. It must be something which is deliberate. It must be known about. It must be something that is straightforward, that is like everyone else's pathways to success. It must be something that we can match, that we can monitor, and that we can continue to do year to year, especially for our talented kids. Basketball right now is a very lucrative sport in university, and our kids are not deliberately going into things like that. And for me, we've said, look, we stand in the gap and we ensure that this becomes a deliberate pathway, and that many kids' lives and families' lives can be changed through the great opportunities that are available to sports youngsters.
Absolutely, because for some families, this isn't just about basketball. It could mean education, opportunity, and changing an entire family's future.
Yeah, it's very true.
And when you hear about African athletes making it big overseas, how many had to leave the continent first to be discovered? Is this the moment when the world finally comes to Africa?
So we are many years away from Africa being the place where you make it from. Many years from that, but we are on the tipping point of us being the place where talent is the first place people are looking. So infrastructure, governance systems need to be in place first before Africa can be the place where everyone comes to make it, right? And we don't have that yet. We're still years behind there. But our talent is what is capturing the whole world when it gets an opportunity to be developed. That's where we are.
I love that, because this is what our athletes are known for, and scouts are recognizing Africa's talent pool. And we've also noticed that this includes both boys and girls. How important was that young, African female athletes are part of this historic moment?
So we were even deliberate in terms of the partner that we've chosen, which is Insider Exposure, because they're big on the girls basketball side of things. And between you and I, the latest top NBA draft pick is Medina Okot out of Kenya. And Medina, was a girl who a few years ago was just walking around playing volleyball in Kenya. And someone's like, hey, you should play basketball. She played 2 years in university. And then now is a professional player, drafted in the first round of the NBA WNBA draft. And I mean, her agent is actually also a partner to Worldwide Scholarships, the Youth Quake Entertainment Organization. So, we are very excited about, riding the wave of success. And, the girl child is just as important in terms of sport as the guys. And what is excellent, especially in the space that we're playing, which is in the NCAA, is that there are more scholarships available for women athletes than there are for men. And that is something that needs to be, taken advantage of, especially by our budding youngsters, young ladies from Africa.
All right, we've earmarked the 10th of July to the 12th in Nairobi. Paint the picture for us. What can the coaches and the fans expect on these dates? So,
look, the way we're going to do this is, right now as we speak, the whole continent is busy, kids from all over, because, the continent is huge. We're talking 50 plus countries. For us to get all the top talent, we've reached out to coaches, academies, clubs, federations to say, hey, send your best kids that you think deserve to be at the showcase. So what's happening so far is we've already got over 100 plus top talented kids from 20 plus countries who are on their way to Nairobi, coaches even with opportunities. So, the way that a showcase happens is, first and foremost, day one is testing. So we measure the kids. How tall are you? How large is your wingspan? How much do you weigh? How old are you? How fast are you? How high can you jump? And this is before you even play basketball. Checking the full-on athleticism of you go into the hello? You guys still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Then after that, you go into the elements of, okay, now we've seen how athletic you are. So day 2 and 3, now let's play basketball. And then we start ranking the kids based on their abilities. Because we've got over 500 plus universities that are looking for talent, we've had to stream this event, so we're going to be streaming it live. You guys are welcome to be a television partner as well if you'd like to be, and to cover this. But we're going to be streaming it live so that universities, coaches who, are like, hey, I'm going to go to Africa. I don't really know what's happening there. Most of the coaches are kind of like, Africa is very taboo. And by us being deliberate with creating the exact same scouting systems that they are used to in the US, for this year, we don't expect it to be something that is incredibly attended by coaches individually, but we've had some of the biggest universities in the world saying, hey, we're interested in seeing what kids you guys have out there, and so we're excited about that. So it'll be streaming. The games, the information about the kids will be sent out to the different universities. And we hope to see a lot of scholarship opportunities coming out of this. And remember, this is the first NCAA basketball showcase in the history of the African continent. It's, how long has the continent been or the world been in existence? This is something that is a momentous moment for us as an organization. And, we're embracing it. But also, we know there's going to be teething pains. We know that there's going to be things that maybe we don't do perfectly this time. But we've chosen all the right people. Our testing is going to be monitored by a gentleman called Jesse Wright. And Jesse Wright is the guy who does it for the NBA. So we haven't left any stone unturned, in terms of just the quality of people that are on the ground. And we've got very good facilitators on the ground ourselves who are going to be handling things as well.
All right. Munya Maraire, founder and CEO of Worldwide Scholarships, making history with Africa's first NCAA-Certified showcase. Where can we stream this, by the way?
So it'll be streaming on our YouTube channel, WWS Group. We'll be able to send you the link so that you can be seeing it.
All right. From Nairobi to the world, the message is simple. African talent doesn't need permission to shine. It just needs the platform. Munya, thank you for joining us here on Africa at Play.
You are so welcome. Thanks again for having us. And we look forward to you guys being one of our media partners.
Absolutely. We will definitely get in touch with the big bosses. There we go. That's basketball here on Africa at Play. Exciting times ahead.